Growing up, I loved reading, I loved science, I loved the critical thinking behind it, and I wanted to pursue a career in medicine, and I eventually worked with physician assistants, which I thought were a perfect balance of being able to have some of that critical thinking and helping patients in an expedited timeline. I'm a certified anesthesiologist assistant, and my base salary is $198,000, but through picking up overtime overnight on the weekends and after my shift, I pick up about $10,000 to $15,000 in overtime. My name is Chabely Rodriguez. I'm 28 years old. I make over $200,000 as an anesthesiologist assistant, and I live in Tampa, Florida. I'm so happy that I went to Florida. I always wanted to live there. It had great weather. I wasn't a fan of the New York City winters, so I've gotten to do a lot of fun things and live a different life than I was living in New York, and have a lot more space and have my money go a lot farther, and I don't have state taxes, which is really nice to take home extra money. I also have a roommate, so I have a lot of extra income at my dispense that I choose to mostly invest in stocks. And then I also put extra money towards travel back to New York because I have family and my boyfriend lives in New York. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and my parents came from Mexico and they wanted to make more income as we were a family of 7. So they ended up opening a business in upstate New York where they've started a farm and they would sell at the farmers markets. We went to school in New York City, but after school and also on the weekends, we would go upstate or work in the farmer's market. And then during the summertime and during half days, we were always either on the farm or again in the farmer's market throughout New York City. So growing up, it was difficult working a lot. Just commuting back and forth between New York City and upstate New York was challenging, and there were times where we slept in the car right before we went to school and they dropped us off. It was a lot of difficult conversations with my parents. However, I see that it made a difference for my younger siblings, and I'm happy that I was able to do that. The time in medical school was going to be a lot, and also the student loans. So that's why I started looking more into physician assistants, something with similar responsibilities, but with a shorter timeline, also typically less debt. I had to go to graduate school, and they were all around the $100,000 mark or more for tuition. Given that the salary would be around $150,000, but I felt like I had a realistic chance of paying it off within 5 years. Instead, I eventually put it into a high-yield savings account. I ended up just putting that money straight back before the pause ended to avoid any extra interest on my student loans. My parents gave me an allowance and paid me for my work on the farm. They always had to work really hard to provide for us. And so I always remember saving my money, saving it up every time they gave me money. When I finally graduated and started making over 6 figures, over $100,000, I still had a lot of that scarcity mindset of save, put the money away, never really thinking to enjoy as I was saving. And I'm trying to change that now. Currently, I'm saving about 50% of my income. I have picked up a lot of overtime, and I've been having a lot more fun this year and traveling more. But at the same time, when I have extra money, I put that aside to my investing. So I've hit about an $85,000 investing goal this year, which I'm very happy with. So my biggest routine expenses are my rent. I try to keep that low with a roommate. Rent and utilities are around $1,400 a month. Other than that, another expense for me is about $1,000 a month for travel. I just remember looking at a lot of different countries and always wanting to look at the world and be a part of all those different cultures. I just never felt like I had the money, and so I look forward to doing a lot of different travel experiences. That is a priority for me. I'm saving to go to Greece with my boyfriend in a year and a half from now. On an average day, as an anesthesiologist assistant, I can see one patient if the surgery takes 10 hours, for example, or I can see up to 14 patients if they're very quick turnover cases. I just meet the surgeon's needs and the patient's needs in terms of the length and cases in the day. I work with needles, I drop medicines, I place IVs on patients, also needles for epidurals, needles for blocks, which would numb up local areas of a patient. For example, if they had a knee surgery, I could place the anesthesia locally so that their knee would be anesthetized, but they could still have full range of motion of other parts of their body. My favorite part of the job is waking patients up and seeing how comfortable they are at the end. And they wake up and they are surprised that the surgery's done, that they're already awake and recovering. Sometimes there are days where I see that it looks like a really busy day and I can anticipate that I may end up getting some overtime that day, but typically around 5 to 5:30, my day ends and I can move on and do some of the things I want to do outside of work. Hi everyone, my name is Chabely. I'm a board-certified anesthesiologist assistant. I have a YouTube channel just mostly around my job so that people can learn about it if they're, let's say, a first-generation college student like myself. And I also like to work out. That helps me decompress, mostly lifting, but I'm trying to get into cardio. I would love to continue this profession, and that's part of why I do my YouTube channel, so that hopefully there's more exposure and maybe more states that can open up to the profession down the line. Once I feel like I have enough invested, I would like to reduce my workload or end up changing my work schedule to 2 to 3 days a week and focus on my other hobbies and activities the rest of the week. My money mindset has changed from just saving now to invest for my future, but also spend the time now to see my family and have experiences that we'll have for the rest of our lives that we can think about and remember and enjoy.